your right as an adult and as a living, breathing person. The problem with that philosophy is that depending on the situation, it doesn't leave you, and it just acts as like a conduit of stress for you moving forward. So not managing it doesn't mean it goes away. People believe that if I don't manage it, it goes away. It doesn't. You sustain it, and you just put it in your backpack and carry it with you. So at least offering folks an opportunity to kind of address problem behaviors, at least we're offering them the chance to change. Because has anybody been bothering somebody that they didn't realize before? Completely unintentionally bothering another person. Wouldn't we want that person to come to us and say, hey, what's going on, versus form an opinion of us based on their limited interactions? We have to offer folks the same courtesy that we want to be offered. Anybody else say anything about this scenario?
I think you owe the director as well some feedback. I do.
Mm-hmm.
What if that person isn't even aware that their communication style is putting off people down the line?
Mm-hmm. And I tend to agree with that. Again, that would be a private, closed-door conversation out of respect and say, hey, I'm not sure if, I know you're not doing this intentionally, but I think that some people are perceiving the communication as a little bit, demeaning or aggressive or whatever. And I'm wondering if there's anything you need from me that can better help. Just really assume that nobody's doing anything to cause direct harm or problem for another individual. Depending on the amount of balls we've got in the air, people will let stuff fall. Intentionally or otherwise, stuff falls off. We agree? It's a very agreeable group, I like that. You're a supervisor and have been for many years. You are assigned a new manager who is new. Both of you are hard workers and do your jobs well. Frankly, though, your personalities clash. And it appears as though your new manager just doesn't like you, and you are convinced that your new manager is trying to get you fired because you are suddenly being ridiculed and disciplined for things that you've been doing what you thought was correct for ages. How do you handle this?
Gee, that's never good.
That's not. Did you somebody say wine? Wine. I get it. In moderation. Yeah. Not as a coping skill. You guys know the rules. But truly, this happens. And this can happen for any number of reasons. What do you do? This is going to feel personal to you. You're going to feel personally attacked in this situation, whether you are being or not. What do you do?
And that kind of go back to scenario one of being mindful and thoughtful in your approach to that, but going to that person directly. But in the can we talk, set up an email where you have time to lay out your concerns
Yes.
directly with your boss.
Yes. The theme of today is direct and honest communication, right? We can all see it. So you're going to set up another meeting, right? Hopefully you're not the same person in scenario 1 and 3. You're going to set up another meeting. And you're going to ask for direct feedback on areas of improvement. But you're also going to offer an observation of how you are feeling based on the interactions. Because what I have found, folks, is that oftentimes the feedback that we're being given has very little to do with the task that we are being asked to change or modify. It has to do with how we feel we are being asked to do them. So how we feel that interaction is going. I don't know if I would hate the technology nuances if it wasn't for the interaction I had to have with this other person, right? I can say that. I'm sure he's a decent person, but because of our interactions together, it's making me hate our technology piece. I don't know if it's one and the same, but it's a part of it. So you have to know what part it is that you feel like you're having within the dynamic. And you might be doing stuff wrong. That happens, because you're human. So if you need the approach to be different, that is well within your rights to ask.
Yeah, I think going into that scenario,
Yes.
assuming there's benevolence behind it, the value of assuming the best of intentions
Mhm.
kind of reframes and sets the table for that meeting. So, you know, if you have a new supervisor that's maybe holding you accountable or more accountable than the previous one.
Absolutely.
That could be very righteous.
Mhm.
And so to explore that with that supervisor, to truly understand the value base that that's coming from,
Absolutely.
kind of keeps you out of the dark place and going negative.
Agreed. And the other thing I will highlight is that supervisor typically has a supervisor. So we don't know what that person is being asked to do, right? They could be the middleman between what they're being asked to do and what they need for you to change. So we don't know. There's so many layers. So going in there with an open mind and open objective, you know, that allows for change to occur in a positive way and for you to not feel emotionally beat down by the feedback that you've been given. Anybody else add to this one?
I would just say along Jim's lines that being prepared, professional, and respectful goes a long way in enhancing some kind of momentum.
Absolutely.
Some agreement.
Absolutely. And it speaks to your investment.
Yeah, I think we have to have a conversation about revisiting what is our goal. Like, sometimes we have a brand new leader and someone who's been here, and are we rowing the boat in the same direction? So
Absolutely.
just revisiting, this is what we're about, taking that fresh look at it, and maybe some things you were doing really well, it's just not getting us here right now. It's not a personal attack.
Yep.
And I think that's the self-evaluation piece as well, whether you're the manager here or the supervisor here, but taking a minute to kind of self-evaluate, what am I bringing into this?
Absolutely.
I'm frustrated that my supervisor is gone now, and I don't like how something was handled. So I think we have to, as hard as that is, be able to know our own baggage of what we're bringing into this to think a little more clearly.
Mhm. And our knowledge of our old supervisor, like that trust has been established. If you have somebody new coming in and giving you feedback, there is a natural lack of trust there for the simple lack of knowledge of that person.
I want to add to this discussion too, it can really be leveling if the discussion involves data. So if you're looking at the goal, right, we're not hitting our goals, to bring metrics adds a level of objectivity. that
Yes.
You can,
Yes.
to change the direction or the new level of accountability.
Yes. Acts as a system of checks and balances, provides tangible resource.
Also, I think that, you know, that's I absolutely agree, but I think if that's not been something we've done, that feels like another shift that can make it feel like, well, when did we become all about numbers and not about
Human element.
human element?
Got it.
When did we become about, and so there's always that, trying to figure out that balance and how do you not just throw out data, but put it in the context of this certainly could be an indicator that maybe we're not hitting what we want to in terms of those human elements, for example.
And as leaders, our challenge is to connect those facts and data, to connect the dots to the mission, which at the end of the day is the best we can do for our clients.
And my suggestion in that, and I really like this approach in life in general, is the sandwich approach, right? So if I'm gonna give somebody feedback, I'm gonna go to them and I'm gonna say, you know, I noticed that you've been trying really, really hard. You certainly have been doing this, this, and this extremely well, but we've made some changes. And then I might support it with data. You know what I'm saying? I might say, you know, we're gonna try and move in this new direction. This is how we hope to accomplish that. This is what we're hoping to see as a result of that. Here's what we need a little bit more of you from. And then you're gonna finish by saying, I know you can do this. Know that I'm here if you need additional resources. And then we kind of lump it all together. So we have those components of both human element, but also support for why we're making this change.
And one of the things I think is we've had lots of these conversations, obviously.
Sure.
For all kinds of reasons. And it goes to the whole conversation about assuming positive intent, right? So the reality is that if the assumption is, and we really believe this, that everybody wants what's best for our kids and families.
Yes.
They wouldn't be, they want to make a difference in the lives of kids and families. The thing we have to sort of deal with is are we doing that in the most effective way? Are we operationalizing that intent in the most effective way possible. And so
Yeah.
how can we, and then how do we determine those things? And what are some things we can look at? And again, we know your intent, we're here to give you the skills and the training and the support you need to be able to move in this direction. But being very clear about this is the direction we're moving, because I think sometimes what can happen is if we're not clear about that, staff are confused, right?
Sure.
They don't.
You don't
they
know
sort
what you
of
don't
feel
know.
like something's different, but they don't quite know what that means, and there's people they work with for years who may not be here anymore. And so, and then I think sometimes we can shy away from being clear about that because we're afraid of being too clear, too directive, or too any of those things. And it is a fine balancing act.
Absolutely.
But again, if you're assuming that positive intent going into the conversation and saying, you know what, we need to do this. And we're gonna give you some skills, but this is the expectation, so there's no confusion about that.
Yeah.
Then hopefully you've set the groundwork for moving forward. It
Absolutely.
doesn't always work, but that, I think, has been an approach we've been trying more and more to take as we've made some shifts that we felt were pretty critical to make,
Yeah.
so.
And I would add to this specific scenario, and probably some of the other ones, on both ends, this one in particular because it's in the middle, is a level of vulnerability, both as a leader and as a person going to your supervisor.
Yes.
That we just haven't really talked about, but that sets the stage for the clear conversation about what's really happening. You have to be able as, well, I can tell you, I didn't handle this situation really well a couple times ago. And it was because I was not willing to go in and be vulnerable and say, you know what, this was a skill that was actually applauded by my last supervisor, and I think I'm applying it in the same way, and now it's being perceived differently.
Sure.
And I don't understand the difference.
Yeah.
And that level of vulnerability was something that I couldn't tap into at that time. Had I been able to do that, and assuming positive intent of my manager, I think we would have come to a different solution and much more quickly.
Absolutely. And we all, listen, this is not an exact science. We learn and grow every single day. I mean, many of us, at least once a week, twice a week, I learn something that I'm like, really? I had no idea. It's an evolutionary process, right? This whole people interaction thing is a journey. It will absolutely never be a destination. You're going to have to be adaptable to different types of philosophies, different types of personalities, different types of expectation. But again, there's some foundational things that you can tap into that will allow for whichever direction you go in to be more successful. Assuming positive intention, not reacting on your emotions, checking in with yourself, knowing where you're at. I mean, there's so many core things that you can tap into in spite of who you're interacting with that will allow for a more successful interaction. And I just really encourage folks to, if you're not where you are in your skill set, there's plenty of resources available to help you with that. You know what I'm saying? It's not an exact science, but tap into the core things and that will help with whomever, whatever situation you're in. Folks, are there any questions that I can answer for you in spite of my very thorough explanation?
This is probably the topic for a whole other session, but emotional intelligence.
Oh, yeah.
Or emotional EQ, emotional intelligence, referred to it. Is there a correlation with practicing crucial conversation principles and an increase in emotional intelligence?
Always. And it's very lateral. I mean, emotional intelligence, I've taught that class before too. It's just more of a focus on specific your own personal skill set. So we would, in that situation, do more of an assessment. It's more concentrated on your emotional skill set and abilities. And then as it translates into your ability to conflict management or have crucial conversations. But yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about, you know, the active listening and as far as really listening to hear what people say and not watching their mouth move while you're formulating what you're gonna say next?
I can't talk much about it because I do it with my husband all the time. But I can tell you what I've heard. No, you make a great point, because if I'm listening to you speak and I'm collecting data to then respond to you, I've not heard what you actually said. So there's not a magic pill for this. When you're doing it, you'll know you're doing it, and at that time what you're going to do is say, nope, Jesse, stop, listen, and you have to have that internal conversation, because what is being said to you is important to the other person. And for resolution or a general agreement to happen, you have to hear the words coming out of their mouth. And that's just good general practice. There's no magic pill for it. You have to snap yourself out of it. You have to snap yourself out. One way to do that is to keep yourself engaged in the conversation. One way we can keep ourselves engaged in the conversation is asking for clarifying questions. Okay? You can ask for, okay, I see what you're saying. Can you give me more information? Can you tell me a little bit more about that? That will keep your brain focused on the words versus wait till she is done. I'm about to, verbally go on the prowl here. So staying engaged in the conversation through questions, through like head shaking, through physical movement, that will keep you focused on the other person.
I think the other thing too in that is a couple things, and we kind of touched on this in the conversation, but I know I can be guilty sometimes of when I'm in a space with a person, let's say, and if I'm not being very intentional and slowing myself down, I'm looking for things to support my perception, right? I'm looking for things that I can put in the file and go, there, see,
Yeah, like verbal jujitsu.
And like, and you feel like, wow, see, I found, see, I was right.
There it is.
There it is, and it is another way to keep ourselves from looking at ourselves and going, okay, how am I contributing? Not because I'm intentionally like, I'm up to get, but where am I in my head? And I think then how does that relate to when you're having conversations, and if that's the space you're in, you're not listening objectively either. Because what you're listening for is the things that will support what you already think. And you're building a case, and you're not in the space of being open to any number of things that come out of the conversation. I think the other problem we have is we're helpers, right?
Yeah.
So we want to fix things. We want to come to a solution.
Yes.
And when you combine that with a pace sometimes that feels unmanageable, you sort of want to go, like, okay, I know where they're going with this, let me just cut to the chase.
Let's get
here
there.
and come up with a solution. And so it takes that breath of going, okay.
Yeah.
You know, how's this been working so far?
Absolutely.
I would say, like, in addition to what people have already said, I think for me, something that's helpful when I go into these kind of conversations is to just tell myself, for the next however many minutes, this is not about me. This is about this person. So I'm gonna focus on this person. I'm gonna have a minute when they leave, or with, I say people, whoever my people are that I would go to, and then say, okay, this is how I felt during this. But in that moment, I'm telling myself, yeah, Jen, like, it's just not about you right now. It's about hearing them, it's about understanding them.
Mm-hmm.
And then I know myself that I'm gonna go back and then kind of analyze and process and think through, and then think, okay, like, what's happening? How do I feel about this? How do I wanna respond? But just remembering that it's just not about me.
Yes. And that's the piece, you can't take it personally. In so many things, it can move mountains for people if they feel like they are being hurt. That is a quick way to de-escalate a situation. I'm not saying you stand there and be disrespected, I'm not proposing that. I'm saying when people are heard, they feel validated. Even if there's not a solution, they at least feel like what they're saying is important to you. And that can quickly change course just by that simple offering. So I encourage folks, yes, don't go into a conversation if you cannot offer full attention to the person. Folks, I have enjoyed my time here today. I have to fly, I have an 11 o'clock appointment. So.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you If you have questions, Nina knows how to get a hold of me. You can call me, email me. I am completely plugged in at all times. And in a poor work-life balance way, that's another session. But feel free and reach out at any point if you need anything. And I really enjoyed being here today. Thank you so much.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Jessie.
Sorry, Nina.
That's okay.
I tried.
That's
I'm like,
perfect.
I'm only going to break a few of these laws.